So, was the Ford Thunderbird Ford's most important vehicle in the 20th century? Now, I literally started asking myself this same question, and is it more important than the Ford F Series in the development of all their V8 engines? So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, today, there's probably no question that the Ford F Series is their most important vehicle, and all their engine technology focuses on the Coyote V8, the EcoBoost V6 engines, and the smaller displacement motors. And they have to compete against Chevy to stay competitive. But really, the Ford Thunderbird was originally the test pilot for all their different V8 engines starting after World War II. They started out with the Y block. They had the famous FE engines. They had the Cleveland engines. They had the Windsor small block engines, which eventually led to the modular single overhead cam engines and eventually the dual overhead cam Coyote. Now, they perfected the personal luxury car. Now, the one thing that people are confused about is which Ford Thunderbird was the most collectible and which one was the best selling. Now, the most collectible, ironically, is the first generation because they didn't make that many of them. It didn't sell as many as you would actually think. The seventh generation actually sold almost 1 million units in only 3 years, from 1977 to 1979. They sold about 318,000 the first year of the seventh generation. They sold about 352,000 in 1978. And in 1979, they sold over 300,000 before they started really downsizing the vehicle even further. Now, the one thing that the Ford Thunderbird suffered from was the Mustang came out. Now, to Ford's credit, Ford didn't even expect the Mustang to be that popular. But when you put an affordable vehicle with 2 doors and a V8 engine in America in the 20th century, that is a recipe for huge success. So really, they didn't want two vehicles competing against each other. And the Ford Mustang and the Ford Thunderbird essentially were taking customers away from each other's vehicles. So I think what Ford said is, let's only give customers one choice for a 2-door sporty car, that it's almost too much to have a Ford Thunderbird and a Ford Mustang sitting there, especially when they eventually went to the same platform. Now, the biggest thing that Lee Iacocca did is he took the bigger Ford Thunderbird from the 6th generation and they downsized it and they cut the price by almost $3,000, which would be about $12,000 today. Now, he eventually went to Chrysler and also did the minivans. So you could say from the Ford Thunderbird downsizing to the minivan invention, he was critical in two of the biggest decisions for both Ford and for both Chrysler. So the Ford Thunderbird, I would say, for V8 engine history is probably one of the most important vehicles